As we come on the air, there's more COVID cases on the rise. 5.29 million plus 72,204. Over 77,000 deaths plus 118. 74,776 plus over 1,500. We're still at the number of deaths of 1,300, over 1,300. Which is good. The cases are on the rise. So, how's everything going in our local school? Well, what better way to find out? What? The 15th? There are 215 cases. Now we're at 104 for this month. Junior high for 8. Intermediate for 1. None for elementary and intermediate and elementary students. Elementary staff. 2 for primary. 1 ECC. The district has 3 cases. Wow. But going on to some COVID related news. It's because of the hospitalizations are not alarming. But according to Dr. Frazier with this hospital, some of the children are hospitalized with COVID-19, what they call incidental findings. Mind you, this is from a diseased specialist. Incidentally, experts say that COVID cannot be affected by children. They see around 100 to 120 patients come through our drive-thru every day, like twice a week. But he adds that some of the children hospitalized with COVID-19 are what they call incidental findings. Despite more children now being eligible for COVID-19 vaccines, Birchville says the numbers aren't high. But last summer, Birchville was one of the hospitals selected to conduct the Pfizer vaccine's clinical trials for children under 12. He says that they want to remind parents that the vaccine is safe and effective. So that's good news from Driscoll Children's Hospital. And a lot of other schools, probably in South Texas, have been switching to remote learning, probably because of the rising cases. We're making fly-ups now at 119, like over 100. We need to make sure. And I guess the reason for all this was basically because everyone at the school thought it'd be cool, like 15 yesterday and 15 on a Wednesday. We're both at 15. 9 for, look, 2, 5, 17, 9, 9, 18, 14, 15. I mean, we only got one more day, so we gotta make sure this doesn't happen. Let's look what happened back in August. 10, 12, 26 for the 23rd. Something needs to change here. What about for the September year? It was lowered. October, everything was lowered. November, the same thing. December, they were good. December was good. And now this month, the cases are rising. This Omicron variant is the big deal. And now they're coming out with a brand new Omicron vaccine in March. We don't know if it's going to be available. But I strongly recommend it helps. The Pfizer vaccine is 100% safe. That's why I recommend you guys go and get that vaccine immediately. Because this Omicron variant is spreading like wildfire. And we have to contain this fire. If we can't contain this fire, it's going to keep on spreading. Plus, the Omicron variant is causing children to develop court. I don't know how it could happen, but I don't know. And now CCD bus drivers delays could be because of staffing shortages. You know why? Because many teachers are getting COVID. And then lots of school districts who can find ways to cope. We'll deal with that later. We'll do that in a minute. But again, I've been telling you this for 2 years. You need to make sure that you're vaccinated. If you get COVID-19, get the vaccine and you'll be okay. Masks, big issue, up the nose, not down here, nor at the chin. Social distance, 6 feet or more. Washing your hands, hand sanitizer, soap and water. Water cannot exceed 110 degrees. If you're riding transportation, it's the same thing. If your child's under 2, no mask. If you forgot your mask, every transportation should provide you with one. If you have a medical condition where you like asthma or something, then you've got to let them know. You've got to be able to say, I have a medical condition, this and that, the other, and we'll see what happens. And also, 5-year-olds are now able to get the vaccine. So, we need to be safe as it approaches. But when we come back, we're gonna look at school districts that are finding a way to cope with the teacher shortages and the CCISD shortages. That part of the story when we come back. Not in the local schools where teacher shortages are becoming higher because of the Omicron variant. But school districts are finding ways to cope with teacher shortage due to the pandemic. How are they doing it? Let's take a look.
All districts in the coastal bend are preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. As more and more staff members are coming down with COVID-19, our Ron Hammy spoke with a few school districts to see how they're handling the latest wave of coronavirus in the classroom.
That presents a challenge. We don't have enough substitutes, and so principals are having to find other ways to cover their classrooms as well. But so far, though, we've been able to manage.
Many school districts are facing the issue of a teacher shortage due to the recent high spread of COVID-19. A human resources coordinator for Corpus Christi ISD says they have over 1,000 substitutes and have been managing the shortage. West Oso ISD has handled this with substitutes as well, but say they could use more.
Certainly the administration is available, counselors are available, and other special needs type teachers are also available. So coaches are available. I mean, you look around, you're able to shuffle some staff around to take care of our students.
As of Tuesday, Gregory Portland ISD has had 34 staff members out with COVID-19, but the superintendent says the recent incentive of an added $2,000 has drawn substitutes in.
For substitutes who work a certain number of days throughout the entire school year, substituting within our district. And we did find after we announced that our fill rates for substitutes increased at that time and have continued to stay at higher levels.
Garcia added the CDC's revised guidelines have actually helped out the school districts.
Teachers are not staying out as long. 5 days is manageable. When you start going into the 10 days plus, and what we don't want any of our staff sick. Absolutely not.
Both Gregory Portland and West Oso ISDs say they continue to sanitize daily, offer up masks and sanitizer to stay ahead of the virus. Reporting in Corpus Christi, Ron Hammy, Chris 6 News.
And it's not just a teacher shortage. Schools all across the state and across the country also dealing with fewer bus drivers, custodians, substitute teachers, and cafeteria workers.
Which brings us to the bus shortage. That brings us to the bus shortage. What do you mean? Well, CCISD buses delays could occur because of staffing shortages. And that is the whole reason why why all transportation is getting COVID. That's why there's a backup plan to happen. If you don't have a backup plan, then you're basically what you're basically doing is not coming up with a plan. You're saying, okay. What about Flower Bluff? We probably won't know. Let's find out.
Into a driver bus or a bus driver shortage, rather. The Corpus Christi Independent School District told parents and students there might be bus route delays because of a staff and bus driver shortage. There was a tweet that the district posted last night.
So let me read this. Families. As our community works together through the COVID-19 surge, students may experience morning and or afternoon bus stop delays and or see different CCISD drivers than usual. Our schools are aware of this issue, and students who ride the bus will not be counted tardy.
And Libby tells us there's a shortage in bus drivers and staff because of the recent COVID-19 surge. CCISD is asking for parents and students to be patient as they navigate both the shortage and the surge. The district right now has 55 driver positions open. To find out how to apply, go to our website, christv.com.
Well, it's a good thing that my school had a sign that says bus drivers wanted because of the shortage. In case of all these shortages, this is the plan that they have in place. If you can't find it, if your child doesn't want to ride the bus because he's late, you need to take him to school or have him walk to school. If you're afraid, then drive him to school. Have a neighbor drive him to school. Drive your child to school. I know you're gonna be scared, like, oh my God, I don't want my child walking alone to school. There's danger out there. You have to just tell them, walk straight to school, and if you don't want to take the bus, walk straight back. That's how it is. So, we don't want people realizing that stuff like this could happen. We need to make sure our kids in school or schools don't get tardy. When we come back, 1 year ago in the coastal bend, absences have been delayed, has always been a problem because of the pandemic. But could it happen this year because of these Omicron variant? We'll tell you when we come back. Back in 2020, during this pandemic, the cases of truancy have been rising. This was about a year ago. So here's former Channel 3 reporter Noah Perez. And let me remind you this: I've been covering truancy since 5 years. So let's take a look.
Truancy is rising at an alarming rate.
This is from December 2020.
And here in the coastal bend, where student absences have always been a problem, things are particularly bad because of the pandemic. Our Nora Perez spoke to two of our area truancy judges to find out how they're handling these cases during this challenging time.
I've spoken to quite a few judges throughout Texas. We have over 1,000 truancy judges, and they're in the same boat.
Judge Joe Benavides talking about truancy cases and how they've risen during the pandemic. One cause, issues with students and parents keeping up with assignments while doing online classes. Parents say sometimes their kids are being counted absent when they've simply failed to turn in work by a certain time. Judge Benavides says he's heard many stories of families who are at the breaking point, dealing with job loss, illness, loss of childcare, and other issues that have been severely disruptive to their children's education.
There's teenagers working at Walmart, working at Burger King, working at McDonald's. These kids are working because they're trying to help mom or dad pay the bills. You know, these are cases and cases of evictions right here and debt claims. It's really getting really bad. Parents on my side are struggling a lot.
Judge Thelma Rodriguez, who also hears truancy cases for CCISD and other districts in the area, says she and her fellow justices are handling these cases a little differently now, trying to help families who are struggling.
Mostly all doing deferred orders, which is like a probation period, and it's for counseling services to get with the students, virtual counseling services.
Both judges say they are trying to find nonprofit organizations, grants, and other community programs to help these families, most of whom are trying their best to see to their children's education in these extraordinary conditions.
We're not here to argue the child should be in school, the parent should be behind the iPad with the child. We're just trying to find solutions.
Nora Perez, 3 News.
That was a year ago. But could it happen again this year because of the Omicron? Well, according to an article last week from the Daily Advertiser, the question is, how many days can a child miss? Well, if you're quarantined, that's a 5-day thing, but that could happen because of truancy. If you miss 5 days, that's truancy. Here's an article, here's a story. I'm going to read a portion of this. It says, after learning her daughter Cricket had been exposed to COVID-19 at school, Sherry Lindsay Jones made sure to keep her home and her classmates safe. One day during their quarantine, Lindsay Jones heard someone at the front door. A truancy officer came to pay her a visit. The deputy with the Owacha Parish Sheriff's Office left a notice telling the Maroon mom to contact the truancy office. Failing to do so will result in summons to appear in court. The alarm set off in Lindsay Jones' mind. She said there was no easy way to access information about when quarantine children from school and how long they should quarantine for. She had even called a school nurse, but a miscommunication led her keeping Cricket home longer than required. The mom is being investigated for something she thought she was doing. She worried if she brought it into court, if she would be brought into court or sent to jail. It's not the mission of truancy officers, but many families do not understand the nature or goals of their work, says Sergeant Enwell Henry with the Truancy Division. Henry said truancy officers work to achieve goal by checking on families when they appear in the system or needing a referral. They also refer to families for counseling agencies and other resources to help them figure out how best to keep students in the classroom. However, if the school forgets to mark an absence as part of the COVID quarantine, or a parent to keep all their kids home from school instead of one who has exposed to COVID, a family may gain an unexpected visit from the truancy office. Most referrals never result in the student being named truant. And here's the surprising thing. In 2019, Louisiana schools had a 28% statewide truancy rate. According to LDOE data, that figure could be about the same as early 2015, down significantly 36.5% in 2018. Truancy is defined as any student having either 5 unexcused days tardy or 5 unexcused days absent within the school semester. According to a spokesman, the truancy rate in the percentage of students that are truant at a site given over a year. So I read you a portion of this, so I'm not going to read you all of it. I just read you a portion. So the question is, could it happen? Could truancy happen again because of this Omicron variant? Well, if people don't get their vaccine, yes, it could happen. Yes, it could happen. A lot of these parents out there that Brooks County, the highest cases in South Texas, these people could get COVID if they don't get the vaccine. That's why throughout the years I've been doing this COVID segments, I've been telling you guys, get yourself vaccinated. If you get COVID, get yourself vaccinated after your quarantine. I've already gotten vaccinated. You have to quarantine for a minimum of 5 days. Now, if your work mandates you don't do this, then you could be fired. And speaking of truancy, this leads us back to truancy. We don't know how long it's been since this happened, but there's nothing new. Nothing new about this, so if anything happens, we'll post you up to date. If anything happens in Omicron, we're going to report it. If anything happens in the schools, we're going to report it. If nothing happens, we're going to report it to you. We'll have the results on a future Give Me a Break. You should know that most children at the age of 5 are qualified to get that vaccine. And if you're 12, you're qualified to get that booster. Now to our local grocery stores. And you may look at this. It's an empty feeling that we have is going on. So the question is, why are grocery shelves looking empty? This isn't March 2020 anymore. This is the real thing. Here's Channel 6.
Been to the grocery store recently, you may have noticed a lot of empty shelves out there.
That's right. So what we are seeing is yet another shortage, but this one isn't only being caused because of the pandemic. As our Ron Hammy tells us tonight, it's a perfect storm of different conditions that's now to blame.
Large chain grocery retailers are struggling to keep their shelves stocked. As for small grocery businesses, they've taken a hit, but haven't seen the full effects just yet.
And right now we're living in a fear where we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So right now we just have to take it one day at a time.
These are what shelves might look like nowadays in large grocery stores, but you also might see it in the smaller grocery stores.
We have some stocks, but all the major brand we are not able to get it, so we have to rely on the generic brand to just keep ourselves full.
Recent winter weather has delayed deliveries. Ports continue to be overcrowded and understaffed. Combined with the recent surge in COVID-19, it's affecting what you see at the dinner table.
First is the supply chain disruptions. A lot of drivers is not going back to work, so there's a lot of product is not being shipped. Also, that's manufacturers having a lot of employees getting tested positive.
But Jose Martinez says he's doing all right at Fruit King Produce. His shelves remain stocked as he gets his product here in Texas. But he sees the supply shortage begin to affect his suppliers.
Right now we got the last stock of grapes and we're trying to get some more right now. But we're looking at the prices are going to be way up there, way up there.
Martinez says he'll look for other suppliers to be able to keep his food around the same prices.
Whoever got the better deal, we're going to go for that. There's people out there that are having problems selling their merchandise, and we still are picking up deals here and there,
Patel added he thinks prices will continue to rise because of these issues. He says no one has started panic shopping yet, but he expects it's coming. Reporting in Corpus Christi, Ron Hammy, Chris 6 News.
And you better not panic shop here. You gotta start to panic shop here. This is gonna be like March 2020 all over again. Or it's like another hurricane. Oh my God, where's the eggs? Where's the milk? I need some butter. I need some toilet paper. This is not a joke. This is the real deal. You gotta sit there and go, oh my God, I need to get some items. Quick. This could be the end of the world. This isn't the end of the world. We're gonna fight this thing together. You, me, everyone else here in the state of Texas, everyone in the coastal bend, we're going to fight this. And the way we're going to do it is by following the orders from the Centers for Disease Control and making sure that we're vaccinated right on time. Whether it's 1 dose, 2 dose, or the booster. We're going to fight this. And if we can't do it, well, we will fight it. We will find a way. I don't want to be the one going back to March 2020. And I don't want to see a lot of schools go back to that mask mandate. We have to wait and see what Governor Greg Abbott would say. I don't want to be the one going back to square one. I'll be back in a moment. When is the right time to talk to your child about sex? Tomorrow on this broadcast, we're going to ask the question, when is the right time or the right age to talk to your kids about sex? And also different cultures. Like, we're going to hear from Paul Rodriguez, the great comedian. We're also going to look at those panic shoppers that happened again this year. What could have happened to any one of us now that we just saw a moment ago? That's tomorrow, which is today. That's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Thursday, going to Friday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Friday. And for all of us here at YouTube, have a good night.